Good morning and welcome to this edition of San Diego People. I'm Sandra Moss. Homelessness is a huge issue in San Diego, and it's not going away anytime soon. But the San Diego Rescue Mission is working to provide services to the homeless in our community. And here with me today to tell us more is Herb Johnson, President and CEO of the Rescue Mission. Welcome and congratulations. I know that you are celebrating your 60th, 60 years.
In just 2 months, 1955, we started in a card room in East San Diego.
And you've grown to quite an organization.
Yes, we are. We're a pretty good-sized organization.
Let's talk about it. For people who aren't familiar with the San Diego Rescue Mission, tell us about the people behind it and the mission you're on.
Well, our mission started out as soup and salvation. In our early days, we would serve some breakfast and then run prayer services at night. We don't accept any public funds to run our business because we're a spiritual mission. We don't discriminate, but most of the people in our long-term program are required to go to chapel services twice a day. We're non-denominational. We take anybody that comes to our doors. We have 7 major programs that we run in our facility, 9 in all in total. We've been in San Diego since November of '55, and in November we'll be 60 years old. So it's an amazing change. So huge operation, and any given night at the Rescue Mission we'll have someplace between 400 and 430 people resident in our building.
That is just, the numbers really are staggering. Let's talk about homelessness in San Diego. 10,000 men, women, and children right now are homeless in our area. How has this problem exacerbated over the years? Is it 5 years ago?
We're better numerically. The difficult thing is that the rest of this population that's out there, just under 10,000, is really the hardcore group. You'll find a lot of mental health issues. You'll find physical abuse, women that have been abused, and folks that have been abused as childhood. And you will find people that can't sort out this whole issue of where they should be. So you've got a little bit of drug addiction and alcohol addiction out there, but more than anything, it's a mental health problem for a number of the population that's still on the streets today.
Is enough being done to address that mental health problem? How do you tackle mental health with people who don't have any sort of support system or place to stay every night or access to medications? How do you possibly even begin to deal with that?
Well, our program is a fairly holistic program. We have a large staff of marriage and family therapists, so we're not just feeding people and then putting them back out on the streets. The average stay for the 85% of our population that's in our building are there from 12 to 18 months trying to change their lives. We provide a good support system in terms of therapy. We also have classes and training. Many of this population are never going to go out and have what you and I would call a real job. They can perform in some tasks, but many of them, just cleaning them up, getting them on a normal flow, getting them into the hands of therapists that can help them out, makes a big change in their lives.
How are you different from, say, the Salvation Army? What you're describing to me sounds very familiar. Is it the same sort of business model?
We do the same. We're basically in the same business. I have high regard for all of those programs. Ours, again, is a little bit more treatment focused. Each one of us, whether it's Father Joe's or Salvation Army or a lot of other providers, Alpha program, they have their special niche of what they provide. Ours is a very therapeutic approach to dealing with this particular problem of why people are on the streets, trying to resolve those issues and solving their lifelong issues around how they've taken care of themselves.
And I know we have pictures of many of the programs. I know you feed people at Thanksgiving time. There's some program where you provide shoes, those sort of giving programs. But let's talk about the therapeutic programs a little bit as well as we look at some of these pictures of the great work that you do at the San Diego Rescue Mission. Are there different sites? You said there are seven sites?
We have 7 different programs that we operate out of our facility on Elm Street. street. We used to never tell anybody what the address was because we run the only shelter for women and children that does intakes at night. And we'll take in between 60. We have a max of 60 with the ability to bring 20 more if it's bad weather. That, to me, is America's finest city's biggest tragedy, is to see, and these are not just 60 women, these are 60 mothers with their kids.
And you don't turn any of them away.
Well, unfortunately, we have a cap, and we used to violate that cap because we wanted to try and bring as many people in. We try to be diligent in accepting the toughest cases, mainly the mothers with families. Sometimes we'll turn singles away at our nighttime program. And that's a hard choice for us to make, but we will never turn a mother and her children away after dark. We're the only shelter that takes them in at night.
And you said at any given time you are helping about how many people?
It's about 440 people, 425 people, or 440 people in that building every night.
So you're feeding them, you're providing them a place to stay, and you're trying to rehabilitate them from whatever ails them. Let's talk a little bit about some of the programs that you provide to homeless people.
So our largest program is our men's program. If you take a look at the population within the rescue mission, it'll pretty much represent the demographics on the street. So there's more men than women. So our men's program is 200, it has a capacity for 200. Our women and children's program is probably normalized at 65 to 75 mothers and kids. And in those populations, they're there for a year to 18 months. It's a community where they thrive. They get in training sessions. They're in a situation where things are normalized. For many of the mothers, they've never lived in a stable or Christian community with a lot high morals. Many of them come from backgrounds where they've been physically abused, or they're in the house where there's drugs and alcohol and a lot of things going on in the kids. And that's why a lot of them have left those circumstances. For the men, they're all over the rainbow. They have millions of reasons of why they ended up there. It's usually 2 or 3 compounded moves, and all of a sudden they're on the streets. They act badly at work, they lose their job, then they lose their housing, their families walk away from them. So those 2 programs are our largest program. We also have the very first recuperative care unit that was ever done in San Diego, and that's for those who are physically or mentally impaired at a serious level. We've got just under 30 beds there, and that is a tough population. It really is. It's really physically and emotionally damaged population. Because
you do not get any government funding, because you are a faith-based organization, you rely completely on donations. How do you raise the money? Who donates? Well, we have a fine development team. We have a tremendous meal program, and if you made the mistake of giving me $10 in the last year or so, then you're going to see my face and our stuff pretty frequently between here and the 1st of the period from September through January 1st is prime giving season. And then there are folks like me that spend a lot of time on the phone talking to business partners and other community activists to try and find the places where we can get money. Well, we're going to learn more about that, and you're going to continue to stay right here. Herb Johnson, the CEO of the Rescue Mission. When we come back on this edition of San Diego People, we will also hear about an event that's coming up to raise awareness of the